What is up, you guys? It's VJ of Yugatech back with another review, and today we'll be looking at this laptop, the Machenike 117-7 gaming laptop. So is it worth picking up? Let's find out. On the top panel, you'll see the Machenike logo smack dab on the middle, with a pair of LED lights on the sides. The chassis is made entirely out of plastic, although some may find this a deal breaker considering that it factors in its overall durability. This would mean the laptop is actually quite light for a 15-inch gaming laptop, weighing at only just 1.85 kilograms. Opening up the laptop, we see two vents at the rear with two cooling fans and heat pipes that help cool the laptop. Alongside with it at the back are the I/O ports, the mini display port, HDMI, and power port. On the left side, we see two USB Type A's, one being USB 3.2 and the other being USB 2.0. Then there's also the earphone and microphone audio jack port. On the right, we see another USB-A 3.2 port and a Type-C port which also supports USB 3.2. And lastly, there's also an Ethernet port and a full-size SD card reader, which might come in handy if you're into photo or video editing. The keyboard is slightly aligned to the left to accommodate the numpad, and of course, being a gaming laptop, it has RGB lighting. The keyboard itself is decent, but the key travel has little actuation. The trackpad is also good and large enough for most users, plus with the actual button mechanics giving a nice click. Tracking and scrolling was also great. The surface was fairly smooth. Overall, despite its plastic build, this laptop is a nice looking laptop that gives the right amount of gaming vibes but doesn't go overkill with the whole look. The display is a 15.6-inch, 144Hz Full HD IPS panel. We noticed for photo and video editing, the panel leaves much to be desired as it only has 45% NTSC color reproduction, which simply is not suitable for any multimedia work. We also noticed some backlight bleed. There were a couple of big blotches on the upper sides of the panel. This shouldn't be too concerning if you're in a well-lit room, but if you're like me who games in the dark, then it might be noticeable. When it comes to playing your favorite tunes, you might want to chip in a bit for a separate pair of headphones or speakers, as the speakers on the Machenike simply lack any bass, and frankly, it doesn't get all that loud, but it simply serves its purpose for having a speaker on board though. And as for the webcam, just be glad there is one. It's not all that bad, but not all that great either, although it'll surely get the job done for any Zoom call or video conference. Now our unit came with Intel's i5-11260H, an RTX 3050 Ti, 8GB of DDR4 RAM, and 512GB of SSD storage. Overall, we could say that it performed well for a budget to mid-range laptop, and it performed pretty respectable in all benchmarks. When gaming, you can expect pretty decent frame rates at around 60 frames per second for most common titles running at medium settings. During the duration of our test though, it seemed like the Machenike ran into some heating issues. When running Cinebench R23, it automatically shuts down when hitting 85 degrees. But it did happen when the room was at a toasty 21 degrees Celsius, which certainly didn't help the laptop cool despite having vents at the rear and dual cooling fans. But even with its robust cooling setup, the processor in the Machenike still managed to hit temps above 95 degrees Celsius. And as for SSD performance, it gave out decent speeds, but nothing too crazy, with read speeds of about 2000 megabytes per second and write speeds of about 1200 megabytes per second. This should be fast enough for most day-to-day tasks. But what's quite quirky about the Machenike is that this is one of the only gaming laptops you can find with an empty slot for a spare internal HDD or SSD. This could certainly help if you need more storage for all your games. Another thing is that the RAM isn't soldered on, and that extra slot is available for those looking to add additional memory of up to 32GB. One other thing to note is that out of the box, it comes with Windows 11 Pro, which doesn't sound all that amazing, but as opposed to having the home version, it does come with better security functions and business management deployment, which could matter to some. When it comes to connectivity, it has the latest Wi-Fi 6, which means it's capable of faster data transfers by up to 40% faster compared to Wi-Fi 5. Now moving on to battery life, the laptop comes with a 49 Wh battery, and although not the biggest battery we've seen on a laptop, it should be enough for users to enjoy media playback of about 4 hours or so. We do recommend that when doing renders or gaming, to keep the laptop plugged in, since this would boost performance of the laptop's discrete graphics and will get you better performance overall. To wrap it all up, the Machenike F117-7 comes in just at 55,990 pesos, and considering its price, it does pretty well, I'd say. And on that little hiccup we had when doing benchmarks, it could have just been a one-off thing, since after that, we haven't seen any issues lately. But the thermals may be a deal breaker, since there's no denying it that even with the robust cooling setup, the laptop did get hot. Also, it's worth considering that Machenike is not all that common, unlike Lenovo, ASUS, Dell, or even HP, and that may make it quite the hassle when something does go wrong and needs repairing. Overall, this laptop is still great for most day-to-day tasks and some light to mid-level gaming here and there. Make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for any of the latest videos we put out. And follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, or visit yugatech.com for any of the latest tech news and reviews. Once again, this is VJ of Yugatech. Have a good one.